They say in Lagos, when a man's greed becomes his god, even his own tongue will betray him. In the heart of Baria, Lagos, there was a large old compound called Number 42. 15 families lived there, each squeezed into small rooms that opened into a shared courtyard. At the center of the courtyard was the communal kitchen, a long, open structure with 15 cooking stations. Each station had blackened stones and old fire marks, evidence of countless meals cooked and shared. Life in the compound was simple. People worked hard, saved every naira they could, and sometimes struggled just to put food on the table. Among the tenants was a young woman named Lizzy Okafo. She was 26 years old, dark-skinned, sharp-eyed, and clever. Lizzy worked as a hairdresser at Tosho Market. She wasn't rich, but she had a sharp mind and a stubborn heart that refused to accept injustice. Lizzy had moved to Number 42 8 months ago because the rent was cheap, just 35,000 naira a month. The landlord, Alhaji Bellow was a portly man in his late 50s. He wore flowing robes and a white prayer cap, and he lived in the boys' quarters at the back of the compound. He was proud, always calling the tenants my people, but there was something strange about Alhaji Bellow. Despite owning the whole compound, despite collecting rent from all 15 families, and despite dressing in expensive robes, no one had ever seen him cook. Not once. There was no smell of stew from his quarters, no sound of pots boiling, and no sight of him buying groceries. And yet, he never looked hungry. At first, the theft seemed small, a missing piece of meat here, a reduced pot of soup there. Tenants blamed themselves at first. Maybe I cooked too little, they would say, but soon it became impossible to ignore. One Friday evening, Mama Chidi's scream shook the compound. "Who did this? Who is this wicked soul?" she cried, falling to her knees in front of her empty cooking pot. Her goose soup, made with her last 4,000 naira, was gone. Only a thin layer of oil remained at the bottom. The other tenants rushed to her side. That was when they realized something terrifying. Mama Chidi wasn't the first victim. Others whispered their own stories. Antongosi, a small trader, said, "It happened to me last week. My pot of jollof rice, gone." Sister Blessing added, "My stew, my white rice, all gone. I thought maybe I gave too much to my children." For nearly 2 years, someone had been stealing food from the communal kitchen, not tasting it, not nibbling, stealing entire pots meant to feed families. The men of the compound tried to investigate. They checked the kitchen, asked the children, even examined the high fences for signs of intruders. Nothing. The thief was among them. Suspicion and paranoia spread like wildfire. Neighbors who had borrowed sugar now locked their doors. Quiet Mr. Demi became a suspect. Even the gatekeeper, Ibrahim, was accused. Children were beaten for simply being near someone else's pot. Some tenants tried locking their pots, buying small padlocks, or staying by the stove to watch over their food. But the thief was patient, careful, and clever. One night, Sister Blessing tried to catch the thief herself. She pretended to leave her cooking station but hid nearby, waiting. Hours passed. Her legs ached. Just as she was about to give up, she heard soft footsteps approaching her pot. Her heart raced. She jumped out, but the thief was gone. Nothing. The pot was still half empty. "It's a spirit!" Sister Blessing cried. "An evil spirit is stealing our food!" Some older tenants began to believe her. Rumors spread about witches and spirits who could steal people's food invisibly. But Lizzy, watching quietly, thought differently. She was clever, brave, and stubborn. She had grown up in Onitsha, where people say, every trickster meets a greater trickster. Whoever had been stealing from the compound for 2 years had just met their match. Lizzy didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply clenched her jaw and began to think. The thief had been bold for 2 years, but they had underestimated one thing, her mind. And so, Lizzy began to watch. She studied the patterns. She observed every pot, every meal, every movement. She would catch the thief. But she wouldn't just expose them. She would teach them a lesson they would never forget. Lizzy spent the next 2 weeks like a detective in her own neighborhood. She watched the kitchen, the cooking schedules, and every movement in the courtyard. She noticed a pattern. The thief only stole when the kitchen was empty. Early mornings, late afternoons, or after dinner when everyone had gone inside, the thief always took the best food. Rich soups, fresh fish, meat. Never beans or plain yam. The thief seemed to know what was in the pot even when covered. Then Lizzy realized the truth. Her eyes drifted to the boys' quarters at the back. From there, someone could see everything in the kitchen. Every pot, every tenant, every movement. Her mind raced. Could it be? The landlord. The next Sunday, Lizzy prepared her plan. She announced to her neighbors that she was cooking a special celebration soup her sister had just gotten engaged, and Lizzy wanted to celebrate in style. She cooked carefully in full view of the courtyard, stirring for hours, adding premium fish, stockfish, goat meat, palm oil, and all her best spices. The aroma filled the compound, drawing hungry eyes and envious looks. Everyone watched as she covered the pot, then cheerfully announced, "I'm going to church. I'll be back to eat later." But she didn't go to church. Instead, Lizzy circled around to a hidden roof she had scouted days earlier. From there, she had a perfect view of the kitchen. As the sun set and the tenants went inside, the kitchen emptied. Lizzy's pot stay aimed gently over the dying fire. She waited. Then, just as darkness fully settled, a door creaked open. Alhaji Bellow emerged, wearing only his wrapper and singlet. He moved carefully, silently, as if he had done this 1,000 times. He glanced left and right, satisfied he was alone. He approached Lizzy's pot. Her heart pounded. This was it, the moment of truth. She watched as he lifted the lid, smelled the aroma, and smiled with greedy pleasure. He grabbed a piece of fish and ate it, then another. He scooped soup into his hands and swallowed it like a starving man. Lizzy's jaw clenched. She had her proof. The thief was the landlord. But she didn't act yet. She needed more than proof. She needed a confession. The next day, Lizzy visited a chemist in Ojba. She explained everything: the compound, the thief, the suffering families, and the landlord. She wanted something that would make the thief regret stealing without killing him. The chemist suggested a safe mixture: castor oil, bitter leaves, and senna extract. It would make the thief extremely sick for 3 days but would not cause permanent harm. He warned her, "Be careful. Too much can be dangerous. The goal is regret, not death." Lizzy carefully measured the mixture. That evening, she cooked again. She prepared her soup as usual: fresh tomatoes, onions, palm oil, crayfish, but added the chemist's mixture, stirring until it was completely dissolved. The soup looked perfect, smelled perfect. No one would suspect a thing. She told 3 trusted neighbors, Mama Chidi, Brother Tundi, and Sister Blessing, to hide and watch the kitchen. They didn't know why, only that they were to call everyone if they saw anything suspicious. At 10:15 p.m., Alhaji Bellow emerged once more, confident in his stealth. He moved toward Lizzy's pot, unaware of the trap. He lifted the lid, breathed in the aroma, and smiled greedily. He grabbed a piece of fish and ate it, then another. Soon he began scooping soup with his hands. "Now!" Mama Chidi shouted. The neighbors rushed out, followed by others who had heard the commotion. Alhaji froze, soup dripping from his fingers, guilt painted across his face. The crowd shouted, "The landlord is the thief!" Alhaji tried to speak, but Lizzy stepped forward calmly. "Alhaji," she said softly, "for 2 years, you have stolen from us. People who trusted you. You collected rent with one hand and stole food with the other. Why?" Alhaji's mouth moved, but no words came. He looked small, weak, and ashamed. I don't cook," he finally stammered. "My wives left me. I was hungry. I didn't know what else to." "Hungry?" Sister Blessing shouted. "You have money for expensive robes and 3 wives, but you couldn't buy food?" Alhaji Bellow lowered his head. Tears ran down his face. "I was greedy. I was lazy. I stole from Mama Chidi, from Brother Tundi, from Sister Blessing. I knew it was wrong. I am ashamed." The crowd fell silent. For 2 years they had suffered. For 2 years they had fought among themselves, and all along it was the man who was supposed to protect them. But Lizzy raised her hand. "Wait," she said. "Let him experience the consequences first." Within minutes, the chemist's mixture took effect. Alhaji clutched his stomach, groaning, sweating, running to the toilet. For 3 hours he suffered the consequences of his greed. The tenants watched, some laughing, some shaking their heads, all knowing justice had been served. By 2 a.m., Alhaji Bellow was weak, humiliated, and completely humbled. Brother Tundi and 2 others helped him into a taxi to the hospital. The doctors treated him, confirmed he had eaten something that caused severe irritation but not permanent harm. Word spread quickly across Beria. The landlord who stole from his tenants had been exposed and punished, not with violence, but with wisdom and careful planning. Lizzy had achieved justice, but she also wanted change. She didn't want revenge. She wanted the landlord to learn, to transform, and to restore the trust he had broken. After the hospital ordeal, Alhaji Bellow returned to number 42 a changed man. Gone were the expensive robes, the flowing prayer caps, and the proud air of a man who owned everything. Now, he wore a simple shirt and trousers. His eyes avoided everyone's gaze. He shuffled into the courtyard like a man carrying the weight of his mistakes. The tenants gathered nervously. Some still felt anger bubbling in their hearts. After 2 years of stolen food, suspicion, and hunger, forgiveness was not automatic. They whispered among themselves, unsure what to do. Should they evict him? Take legal action? Demand full repayment for the food he had stolen? But Lizzy stepped forward. Calm, confident, and wise, she said, "Alhaji, you have broken the trust of this compound. You stole from people who depended on you. But you are here, humbled. This is your chance to make amends. Do you understand the weight of what you have done?" Alhaji nodded, tears running down his face. "I understand," he whispered. "I am ashamed. I am sorry for everything. I am ready to make it right." Lizzy continued. "Then listen. For the next 6 months, you will reduce everyone's rent by half. You will learn to cook. Sister Blessing has kindly agreed to teach you. You will cook 1 communal meal per week for all of us. You will help renovate the kitchen, and each pot will have a lock. And if you ever steal again, justice will not be as gentle." The tenants murmured in agreement. This was firm but fair, and Alhaji Bellow accepted it. The first week was challenging. Alhaji burned the rice, oversalted the soup, and even added too much palm oil. The tenants laughed, teasing him gently. But Lizzy smiled quietly. Change was happening. Week by week, Alhaji improved. By the 3rd month, he cooked decent rice and stew. By the 6th month, his ogusi soup and fish stew were delicious. But the most important transformation was not in his cooking. It was in his heart. The arrogance, the greed, the selfishness, those melted away. He began to understand the struggles of those around him. He realized how small acts of dishonesty could destroy trust, friendship, and community. Slowly, the compound changed too. Suspicion and fear were replaced with laughter and cooperation. Neighbors began helping each other again, sharing ingredients and cooking together. The weekly communal meals became a tradition, a time for bonding, storytelling, and celebration. Alhaji Bellow even began to offer help to tenants in need. Families struggling to pay rent received discounts. Children received school supplies. And instead of being a figure of fear and control, he became a figure of respect, humility, and generosity. Lizzy, for her part, became a legend in Beria. Mothers told their daughters, "Be like Lizzy, clever, brave, and merciful." She had caught the thief, delivered justice, and taught everyone a lesson about wisdom, patience, and forgiveness. One evening, months later, during a communal meal, Alhaji Bellow raised his cup of zobo drink. His voice shook slightly but carried deep sincerity. "There is an Igbo proverb that Lizzy taught me," he said. "Whoever holds what belongs to another knows it belongs to another. I knew I was stealing. I knew it was wrong, but greed blinded me. Today, wisdom and mercy have taught me more than shame ever could. Thank you, all of you, for teaching this old man to be human again." The tenants raised their cups, laughing and cheering. They had learned something too. They saw how mercy can transform even the worst of wrongdoers. Lizzy had shown them that punishment alone is not enough. True justice includes the chance to learn, change, and grow. From that day on, number 42 was not just a compound, it was a community. Families shared meals, helped each other, and celebrated together. And Alhaji Bellow, once a greedy and selfish man, became a symbol of humility, redemption, and generosity. The moral of the story was clear. Greed can make even the powerful into thieves, but mercy and wisdom can transform thieves into human beings. True poverty is not the lack of money, but the lack of character, and true strength is the ability to forgive and to change. Lizzy could have used the chemist's mixture to destroy him completely, but she chose a better path, one that corrected, not destroyed. Justice was served, but redemption was possible. As the sun set over the courtyard, the aroma of soup filled the air, laughter echoed from every corner. The people of number 42 knew a simple truth. The pot that catches a thief can also cook forgiveness. And so, in the heart of Lagos, wisdom, courage, and mercy triumphed, leaving a story that would be told for generations.